Joe Rogan, wait for it, Bob Lazar. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Soapbox. This one is not going to be all that long. I just thought this video was interesting. One of my subscribers gave me a heads up to this video. People always send me UFO stuff because I do UFO topics. I am fascinated by this particular subject, and so I cover the subject I'm fascinated by. I wouldn't do anything otherwise. So Bob Lazar. So Joe Rogan put this out today. I think this was today. Yeah, this was today. In fact, it wasn't Joe Rogan that put it out. It was Jeremy Corbell. He put it out. Jeremy Corbell did the video on Bob Lazar, if I'm not mistaken.
No spacecraft could do in 1980, whatever the fuck it was, where you got one. Boom. I'm talking to Bob Lazar tonight. That was the guy I was telling you I wanted to bring you to dinner.
I'm going.
You too as well, if you want to come. He's the guy who worked at Area 51.
We could talk about this today.
Tomorrow. Yeah.
I believe in Area 51.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
Oh, Area 51's real, but this guy literally worked on what he says are alien spacecrafts.
You said you had a friend who worked on alien spacecraft?
Oh, I don't know.
That's what I told you
I'm meeting him tonight.
Yeah,
He's on the podcast tomorrow.
And
but he worked at Area 51.
Charlemagne the God is skeptical. He's like, what? You worked on Area 50? I don't know why he's skeptical. It always astounds me that people are skeptical of the subject. You are a ball hurling through the cosmos. And while you're hurling through the cosmos, with your primitive sciences on this planet that you consider to be advanced because, it's all you know, but it's only been 100 years or so. Even with that, do you understand the technology we used to go to the moon was like something out of a calculator? It was low tech and we were still able to get to something like the moon. I guess my point is, with our technology, we decided to check out our celestial neighbors. The moon, we started sending probes all throughout the galaxy. Why? Of course you're going to do it. It's natural of sorts to do it. Now you can say it's human nature. We have no idea what another species would do. But if we're talking about craft, then of course we're talking about it. I guess my point is, if we, human beings, had that certain oomph, that impetus to do it, why would we believe that we are the only thing in the cosmos? I find that just to be a weird proposition. It's almost, you have to invoke God to make that work. That God created a petri dish and he enveloped it. So it was only that. At one point, we believed that man was the center of the universe, then the center of the galaxy, then the center of the solar system. None of that was true. None of that was true. I don't know why this will be either. Charlemagne the God's skepticism is just built out on what has taken place before and this kind of zeitgeist in the media of sorts to tamp down thoughts about this and conversation about this. I find it the weirdest thing in the world to not be curious about it. Nevertheless, here we are. Here we are.
Is he allowed to talk about that shit without getting killed?
He is, because he's been talking about it.
Is he allowed to talk about that shit without getting killed? Funny that he brings that up. In one of the Bob Lazar conversations, Bob Lazar says after he gets caught, because Bob Lazar gets caught. Bob Lazar gets caught because Bob Lazar starts running his mouth telling people about what he was saying at Area 51. In one of the cases, he has a friend of his. Oh, God, I can't think of his name. You would know him, or at the very least, you would know his dad because his dad started an aerospace company. Roger Lear. Lear is out there in some of his thinking. But Lazar is a friend of Lear's, and Lazar tells Lear what he was seeing at the base. And they rope in a reporter, if I'm not mistaken, George Knapp, saying that, look, on this date, at this time, there are going to be spacecraft in the sky that we're test flying and that we're flying. This is kind of why I say the stuff that the U.S. Navy was seeing, I can't necessarily say that this was someone that was extraterrestrial, saying that it's very possible that we were flying these things ourselves or flying similar craft that the civilian aspect of it just didn't know about. I hope that makes sense. We're assuming that the technology that the U.S. military, or that the military in general has, is only a certain level. You don't know that as a flat fact. In fact, you can't even assume that to a degree as a flat fact. That said, based on what we know, these craft, I guess my point is, Lazar went out there saying there was going to be things in the sky at a very particular time and brought people out there to see it. including reporters. Lazar says that somebody put a gun to his head or something. It kind of made the point to him, you know what we told you, we do to you if you told, right? Charlemagne the God is not that far off. It's like, do you know what they do to people that tell?
For decades.
Really?
Yeah, and they've tried to discredit him. He's very controversial. A lot of people think he's full of shit, but there's a recent documentary by Jeremy Corbell, and the more you look at the documentary, he knows too many things.
He's pretty serious about digging people for showing his videos.
He knows too many things that prove the area where they would launch these spaceships.
But Joe Rogan is right about that point. Lazar had right much information. He was saying he was working on craft. He was talking about when the ships were going to be flying in the sky so they can kind of take video footage of it. He said all sorts of stuff. Now, some of the stuff people try to discredit him with, I guess you have to make up your own mind about it. I err towards the side that I don't necessarily think Bob Lazar is lying. If he's lying, he's a magnificent liar. Now, Joe Rogan took this picture. This is going to be an amazing interview. If you remember, when the rock star was interviewed by Joe Rogan, he fell apart. He fell apart in the interview. And not just fell apart in the interview, he started talking about like evil aliens and whatnot. That interview went really bad. Yeah. Did he talk about evil aliens in that interview? I'm trying to think of what interview he was talking about evil aliens. But whatever that interview didn't go well between Tom DeLonge and Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan somewhat picked him apart. I keep saying Joe Rogan asks people questions in ways that get beyond the defenses. He is an extremely good interviewer in somewhat of a sneaky way. And I don't think he's being sneaky. He's just being earnest in the way that he asks his questions. And he asks questions in the most basic of ways. And sometimes those are the hardest questions to answer. So that should be a really good interview between him and Bob Lazar. Also, his interviews tend to go 3 hours long. So there's enough time for him to kind of soak into the interview as he kind of goes question after question after question after question. He gives you the benefit of the doubt in the interview, which I also like. So that should turn out to be a really good interview. I'm looking forward to that. Bob Lazar and Joe Rogan. He said they did an interview this evening. This is the Instagram page that these guys put out. Prepare yourself. UFOs are real. Bob Lazar is dropping all the info about his time working for the government's back engineering flying saucers. There's a mind-blowing documentary out on Netflix right now called Bob Lazar, Area 51 and Flying Saucers. Thanks to Jeremy Corbyn for making the excellent documentary and getting Bob to come on for this podcast. It'll be available in a couple of hours from this post. Oh, it might be up now. It might be up now. All right, I got to check that out. But I'm putting this up. I know some of my audience is into this particular topic. People send me tweets all the time. Keep them coming. I don't do all of them, but on the topics that I can validate and that I can give a certain credibility to, fucking A. All right, I will end this here. If you guys enjoy the content, please consider liking, sharing, supporting. Oh, and yeah, I strongly emphasize that. Take a look at this. They've demonetized all of my videos, with the exception of, I think, one. With the exception of one. And I suspect they may even demonetize this one. Because it's about UFOs. Take a look at this. All right, Tulsi Gabbard gives Trump a piece of radically good advice. All right, that one for right now is fun. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez doesn't know what concentration camps are. My audience massively disagree with me. You guys can kick rocks. I don't care. She doesn't know what concentration camps are. I would say read books on Nazi Germany and see what they were doing at concentration camps and compare that to what's taking place at the border. Things can be horrible without them being Nazi concentration camps. There's a difference in those things. Just like the video all you want. Bernie Sanders' rhetoric against war in Iran gets stronger. Good. Demonetize. I guess because I mentioned Iran. Donald Trump gets classified briefing on UFOs. Give fascinating response with acts by press. All right, that one's fine. Iran shoots down spy drone. Demonetize. Juan Guaido's team caught stealing humanitarian aid money. Demonetize. Joe Biden said he's going to cure cancer. Demonetize. How do you demonetize that? Billionaire Republican rejects Joe Biden's pleas for help. Demonetize. Elizabeth Warren's solution to drug costs is laughably sad and accurate. Oh, all right, fair enough. But look at this. Everything for the last 2 days for the substitute demonetized. And by the way, many of those videos weren't on issues of war or any of those things. YouTube is getting insane with that stuff. YouTube is getting insane with that stuff. And the sad part is, having a video where you're kind of making the point about we're going to war with Iran, it seems that the bigger issue would be the war with Iran, not the point of saying that there's a war with Iran. All right, I have a tweet. Kills for a living. The UFOs are pussy. They never come down to talk to people. Until they come, I don't believe all of this. But I don't know what that means. What do you expect? Like, honestly, I never understand what people expect with this. Why don't they land on the White House lawn? Why would they land on the White House lawn? Why would they give any level of legitimacy to the structures that are within your world at all? They might not even fully get the structures in your world. You're assuming that they have this kind of pyramid structure of thing. Not to mention, why would that be the best thing to do? Think about what you're asking. Think of the number of people that are armed in the United States or around the world. Think of the structures that you have in place, the religious beliefs. I have family who thinks that UFOs, if they exist, are demonic. I have family, they're religious maniacs. I have relatives that would likely believe that they're maniacs. I have family members that are not even sold on gay marriage. They think people of the LGBT community are evil, that they're against God. And you're talking about aliens. So understand what you're saying. Landing on the White House lawn, and you have a bunch of maniacs and lunatics that are, religious maniacs in the country. What do you expect them to do? How are they to regard the fact that there's life outside of this planet, when up until this point, it has been an entire and utter conspiracy theory that has been tamped down by media and government? How do you get across to people that you're real without those people losing their shit? What I will put to you is probably what's taking place, and I agree with Grant Cameron on this kind of two-step. Whatever the military puts out, the military needs to be able to discredit. Otherwise, you're stuck with what you got. If you put something out in the press and the people flip out, you got to be able to say, that's wrong, that's not true, that's not real, we have no idea where you get that from, that's not footage from us, hands off. They got to be able to do it. Otherwise, you're stuck with what you got. If the public reacts horribly, what are you going to do? Your job as a government is to maintain order to some degree. That's part of your job. And you're going to do something that is completely unpredictable. How do you do that? I guess I'm saying it's not the easiest thing in the world to come up with a way of trying to explain to the public, a public that is somewhat narrow-minded in their thought processes. You have a public that can't even vote beyond two parties. Just saying. You still have people who are homeless, even though you're opulent in regards to wealth. How do your society deal with that information? And if you don't know how your society deals with that information, why on earth would they care about you? Why? I have no idea why. I'm just saying, this notion of a craft landed somewhere just seems it's no-go. That's not going to take place. It's not going to take place. And by the way, if it did take place, I would have serious qualms with their intentions. Kills for a living. I don't want them to land on the White House lawn. I want them to come down and say, what's up? Then leave. What? Until then, it's BS. I don't believe anything the government says until I see it. They lie all day. Oh, but the government is not saying it. That's the catch. The government is not saying it. If you've noticed, it wasn't the government that said anything. Donald Trump just said he was briefed on UFOs. The Navy has just said, we'll start looking at it. But the UFO community for the last 60 years have been screaming about this issue. And for the last 60 years, they've been routinely called conspiracy theorists. And for the last year and a half, 2 years, bombshell reporting by the New York Times. These are pilots who are saying this stuff. Now, you could say these pilots are lying. I don't know why these pilots will be lying. You could say the Nimitz pilots are lying. I don't know why they would be lying. You could say that the tapes that the Pentagon released, and the Pentagon did release those tapes, are bogus. And again, I have to ask why. Do I believe that the military lies? Yes. Do I believe that they would be lying on this scale with all of these pallets and everything else? No, I don't. I don't. I do question why now. Meaning, I do question why the Pentagon releases these tapes now. I do question why these guys are able to talk about this now, or why the Navy changes their protocols now. The Navy pilots have been seeing this stuff for years. Maybe the cacophony of information, maybe because this stuff hit the press. I have suspicions of ulterior motives, meaning the way that this is being framed as a national security issue, but you can make an argument that would always be framed as a national security issue. I get extremely concerned when stuff started saying, well, we don't know what's in our skies. These things could be threats. Mind you, these things have been going on for like 50, 60 years, but now, of course, they're threats. We don't know their capabilities. We don't know their intentions. Are they Christians? Are they Muslims? Are they atheists? Are they something else? Are they capitalists? I heard somebody else say, are they capitalists? This is kind of my point. How do you engage with a society that thinks in these ways? Are they capitalists? What is it? It's like, God, I hope they're not. I guess my point is this. There's no reason why they would stop and say hi to you. And I got to be honest, I don't know if you would want them to say hi to you with some of the abduction reports that people are getting. And I can tell you for myself, as having, dreams of being taken, it is the scariest shit on the planet. So, saying hi, maybe, but I don't necessarily think they're going to say hi in the way that we think. Also, there's no reason to believe that they engage in the way that we think. Take out your preconceptions. Your preconceptions are purely based on your origins on planet Earth. There's no reason to believe they think that way. All right. I'm going to end this. I just thought this was cool. I thought this was very cool. Star Wars program started way prior to Reagan's announcement. Started before his announcements, yes. They are hectopods. I have no idea what they are. Michael Cooper. Same with Space Force. Space Force is weird. Space Force is weird. The bunch of people started talking about UFOs, and then all of a sudden Trump started saying Space Force. And it's like, is he watching Tucker Carlson and coming out with this? Or is this something he just thought was cool from the get-go? It's just such an odd thing for him to come up with. But all right, I'm going to end this. This is going too long. Joe Rogan talking with Bob Lazar. That should be a fascinating interview. Enjoy. If I'm not mistaken, that took place today, so it may be up now or within a few hours. Thanks all.